Introduction to Sufi Principles, Lesson 2. In the previous lesson, we reached the Word of God with all the dimensions of knowledge, both in essence and reflectively for the attributes, to the level of lordship. Then, the discourse continues as the author says, "He who has placed the sources of his majesty in the abodes of his beauty." Here, the author intends to discuss the inner aspects before the outward manifestation. He means to convey that Allah, the Almighty, possesses ranks of inner realities, specifically related to His majesty and sovereignty. Furthermore, Allah, the Almighty, has certain realities related to His manifestation, and these manifest realities can be witnessed by any individual. Therefore, one who seeks closeness to Allah, the Almighty, must navigate both the realms of manifestation and inner realities. By moving within the divine inner realms and the divine manifestations of His names and attributes, one can better understand the divine religion with accuracy and depth. Now, what does the author of the book say? He says, "The one who has made." When we read the word made here, a question may arise in our minds. To whom does this making that the author is talking about refer? Did Allah the Almighty make these sources? Because he says, "the one who has made the sources," and the word sources here means the hidden and non-apparent matters. So, did Allah the Almighty intentionally conceal these matters and make them concealed? Now we understand that the word sources means the inner aspects and depths, because it is the plural of the word source. Therefore, it means that some individuals who contemplate Allah the Almighty focus on the inner aspects and depths, while many others look at the apparent aspects. Here, another question that may come to mind is whether the manifestations and inner aspects are contradictory or conflicting matters with each other. We say no. The intention is for a person to contemplate both the inner aspects and the outward manifestations equally, so that their understanding of Allah the Almighty becomes precise and not superficial. Now let's go back to the word sources. In the Arabic language, it is said that the source of truth means the essence of truth and the source of its strength. It's as if he means that the source of the strength of what is apparent is hidden. From the word majesty, what is usually meant is dominance, authority, divine power, and divine greatness. And from beauty, what is usually meant are the attributes of divine mercy and kindness. The author said, "The one who has made the sources the shades of His majesty, the domains of His light are His beauty." Now we may wonder about the meaning of the word shades. We say that shades is the plural of shade, so the one who has made the sources the shades of His majesty means that by observing the shades of majesty, the lights of beauty become evident. Because the manifestations of majesty, as we mentioned, include dominance, authority, control, divine power, and divine greatness, if a person witnesses all of these things, this knowledge leads them to reverence, caution, and fear of Allah the Almighty. When we talk about reverence, we do not mean excessive fear or terror beyond the normal fear that a person usually has of tyrants, oppressors. Here, we are talking about the kind of fear that one has of the cruelty and tyranny of oppressors. What we mean here is reverence and caution in front of Allah the Almighty. In this context, a person lives with caution because they have perceived greatness, and they are cautious not to deviate from the straight path of Allah the Almighty, because they have known Him through His attributes of majesty and greatness. They have witnessed His dominance and divine power everywhere, and they understand that they cannot escape this dominance. It is pure poverty, not human poverty. This poverty is inherent to the person, lasting in this world and the hereafter, and it has no end because it is part of their essence. In reality, this person lives the reality of submission and admiration for what they witness of the greatness of the Creator. This knowledge and fear drives them to be cautious about deviating from the straight path of Allah. They are embarrassed for Allah to see them on any path other than His divine straight path. This means they live the reality of self-discipline, disciplining themselves in everything in their life, in their speech, thoughts, actions, and in everything, because they see dominance, divine authority, divine control, divine power, and divine greatness governing the world. They fear to be seen by Allah as disobedience. Now we want to emphasize another important aspect. Those who witness the shade of divine majesty and understand through that the beauty also understand that deviating from the straight path has consequences. Besides the fact that a person would be subject to the anger and punishment of Allah for this deviation, it also has inherent consequences on the individual. In other words, it affects the individual from all aspects. For example, when someone lies under the pretext of wanting to get rid of a specific matter or problem, this lie, even if it's just a word, has a strong impact on the person's psyche. It affects every particle of their being, both internally and externally. The changes that occur in a person in this world when they become a liar, a deceiver, or a hypocrite will carry over to the hereafter. If they do not rid themselves of these traits in this world, they will have consequences in the hereafter. Even if in the hereafter they are encompassed by divine forgiveness and admitted to paradise, their inner self does not change. The negative inner self, filled with betrayal and lies, becomes a part that they cannot change or transform. It prevents them from moving in the gardens on the day of resurrection, because movement in the hereafter, just like in this world, requires inner purity. Without inner purity, a person cannot move towards their Lord, the Almighty. In contrast to majesty, we have beauty. What is beauty? It is the manifestation of mercy, blessings, generosity, and forgiveness. In God, these attributes come together. The attribute of authority, juxtaposed with mercy, compassion, generosity, and grace. This means He has forgiven and forgot mercy and punishment. Understanding these aspects allows a true knower to live in balance. They know that Allah's mercy encompasses everything, and at the same time, they understand that entering paradise requires deeds, inner purification, and strenuous effort for the sake of Allah's pleasure. We will continue explaining the words of the author in the next lesson, God willing.